Good evening, guys and ghouls. A little October humor is all. In celebration of that terrifying and sugar-fueled night that we mortals call All Hallows Eve, I have decided to skip ahead in my Starsky and Hutch reviews to share with you my thoughts on the supernatural-themed episode, Vampire. Does the very name send shivers down your spine? Well, it should. Let the nightmare begin. Okay, I'll stop talking like that. Our twisted tale opens on a full moon over Bay City. We slowly drift down a theater where inside a man is professing his love to a painting of his dearly departed bride Maria. He promises her that he will bring her back to life. I am not sure how he plans to accomplish this, but I'm sure that vampirism is a logical step in his endeavor. And hey, it's John Saxon. He's one of those guys with such a unique face that I will never, ever forget him. Plus, he played that creepy cult leader in that episode of The A-Team. Thunder roars as a lone woman walks home. Never a good idea because Saxon Vampire is watching and waiting. There's a nice touch of the fountain illuminated so that it looks like blood. I like it. Now, the shot of Saxon Vampire running up to attack the woman is a tad silly looking, but if I were in her shoes and I turned around to see that running toward me, I would be sufficiently freaked. We find our vampire slayers at a place called Playpen, where Huggy is running things while his cousin is out of town. Huggy's just got his hands in everything that goes on in this city, doesn't he? Starsky and Hutch both eye the same pair of girls, but from different angles. There's a lot of mirror shots in this episode. And of course I don't have any proof of this, but I assume it's deliberate since vampires can't see their own reflection. As they approach the girls, I can see that Hutch is wearing his guitar shirt. I truly, truly loathe that shirt. Hutch takes a moment to step on Starsky's self-esteem before hitting on the girls.
On second thought, maybe I better take control of the situation.
What?
Well, I wouldn't want you to lose what little dignity you might have left.
Why, Hutch? Why do you do it? The four of them seem to hit it off quite nicely until Starsky is called away from a phone call from Dobie. And that slave driver has called them into work on their night off. How much do I love that they spend all day at work together, and on their time off, they're still together, as if they don't live out of each other's pockets enough. They reluctantly leave the girls named Bobette and Jane, but not before scoring some digits. Aw yeah, my boys got game. The guys meet Dobie at the morgue where the dead woman is identified as one Honey Williams, a dancer at a place called Slade's Cave. As they check the place out, Starsky is instantly hypnotized by the entertainment. Starsky, focus. Hey, it's Suzanne Summers again! And oh dear, it looks like she's really fallen on hard times. Random question, why are so many female characters on this show named Linda? Anyway, she's hanging all over Slade himself. She does manage to stay lucid enough to reveal that Honey took dance lessons at Renee's School of Classical Ballet, run out of the same theater where Saxon Vampire has his dead wife shrine. And there's the maniacal murderer himself. They question Saxon Vampire and he starts bringing up his dead wife, which is totes not suspicious at all.
That's my late wife. She died recently, too.
Sorry.
It always seems to be the good ones, doesn't it?
And there's another mirror shot. So he's not a vampire. This changes everything. Back at the office, the coroner's report reveals that the cause of death was strangulation. Not exactly the vampire way, Saxon Vampire. He did bite them and drank some of their blood, or took some of their blood, or something. There was some blood missing from the crime scene, but either way, you're doing your vampiring all wrong. And you're ruining poor Starsky's appetite. He offers his food to a grateful Dobie instead.
But I don't want any wild speculation from you two.
Did you ever see any of those vampire movies?
Good job. Later on, we see that Hutch is getting just a tad frustrated. And Starsky's been hitting the books. Sam Winchester would be proud.
I mean, this is really crazy. I mean, this is really lunatic time.
Hutch, let me tell you, you'll be changing your tune once you move to Salem's Lot.
Bill! Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Bill!
The debate heats up as the guys argue about the possibility of the existence of vampires. This captures the attention of the entire squad room, and it remains one of the more memorable and fun scenes of the series in my opinion.
Yeah? Well, fools and only greenhorns try to predict the weather.
And Starsky bought himself a clove of garlic. Aw, he bought one for Hutch too. The thing is, he knew he was going to be ridiculed for it, but he bought one for Hutch anyway. That's love. That's real love. Meanwhile, Saxon Vampire is eyeing his next victim. This, personally, is why I don't dance. Too many teachers waiting to suck your blood. The guys meet up with Huggy, who has quickly jumped onto the vampire survival market. More relevant to the case, Huggy recommends that they check out a guy named Gyro, who is connected with the occult. Starsky is interested in Huggy's protection, but Hutch shuts him down pretty quickly. What? Do you want him to turn into a vampire, Hutch? Is that like a thing that you want to happen? You're sick. So they go to meet Gyro, and Hutch does this. It makes me smile. It also messes up his hair quite nicely. But then he just starts getting mean.
You know what I see in here? I see a dark-haired moron pretending to be Sherlock Holmes.
All right, back off a little, Hutch. That night, Saxon Vampire hunts down his latest victim. Oh, she just can't unlock that door in time. Thank God we have these little babies now, am I right? Am I right? Would have saved her neck. They arrive at the scene, and Hutch pursues Saxon Vampire on the roof. He leaps down from one building to another. Hutch is in shock and insists that he flew.
What happened? Where'd he go?
I don't believe it.
What? He flew. Huh?
He flew! It's 25 feet, look at that!
Okay, no. He jumped. He didn't fly. I thought you went to college, Hutch. They find themselves interviewing vampire wannabes trying to take credit for the killings. They head back to Saxon Vampire's ever-dwindling school, and this time he starts to get quite hostile with the boys.
You know, if it wasn't for that bad leg, he could be the same guy we saw last night.
Too bad they get distracted by a red herring. Well, not quite a red herring, but sort of. Anyway, Dobie informs them that Slade has been into satanic rituals for years. Up in Slade's room, they find a girl completely out of it, as well as a cape and a jar of blood. They spot him trying to escape, and the chase is on. And, well, that was fast. Also, is anyone going to call an ambulance for that poor woman? Anyone? This occult gig apparently gives him 6 figures in his bank account. Where do I sign up? The guys theorize that Slade suckered, no pun intended, Saxon Vampire with his satanic rituals, and he simply took it too far. As one does. They'd better wrap this up because now he's trying to get to Suzanne Summers. Back at Slade's place, they find a picture of Maria, and that's all the evidence they need to spring into action. While waiting for Suzanne, Saxon Vampire entertains himself with a little dance. A bit odd. I didn't realize that vampires were into dancing. Suzanne enters the dark theater alone. Turn around and leave. Do this now. Ugh, why does no one on TV ever listen to my warnings? I'm trying to help them. She's attacked, but luckily the guys get there just in the nick of time, and they chase Saxon Vampire up the catwalks. And then he tries to bite Starsky. I could go into how oftentimes a vampire's bite is a sexual metaphor, and how every victim of Saxon so far has been a woman, and what it means that he tries to bite Starsky here. Or I could just watch David Soul swing like Tarzan. Finally, Saxon Vampire falls to his death. Told you he couldn't fly, Hutch, you stupid. Back at the playpen, the guys meet up with Bobette and Jane again.
Where do you want to go after this? Your place or mine?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
What do you mean that's fine?
Well, I'll go to my place, you go to yours.
Wow, Starsky, honey, there have to be some boundaries in your relationship with your partner. Huggy, just trying to help, wants to cure Starsky of his impending vampirism. He didn't actually get bitten, you know. And we end with Starsky teasing Hutch by putting in fake vampire teeth. Oh, you boy. And so concludes our tale of grief, murder, supernatural, and Suzanne Summers. As far as vampire stories go, the show of Starsky and Hutch is pretty firmly grounded in the real world. Excluding Murder on Voodoo Island, I don't even know what that was about. So of course Saxon Vampire was never going to be a real vampire. I appreciate the attempt at a classic horror atmosphere with the thunder and lightning and the many shots of the full moon, and of course John Saxon was perfectly cast in the part. I do wish that a little more had been made between the guys of whether or not he was a real vampire. The argument they had about it was so great, and it just feels like it was kind of dropped. So on the vampire front, it's good, but not great. As an episode of Starsky and Hutch, it's classic. The boys are side by side throughout. Hutch's skepticism and Starsky's open-mindedness to all things supernatural is perfectly in character for both of them, and I love the debate that it sparks. Huggy's fun in this episode, but does he honestly believe in vampires? I'd like to believe he's just teasing Starsky at the end, but he's playing it pretty straight, so I don't know. All in all, a nicely done Halloween episode. This has been Fandom on Demand, bringing you fandom when you demand it.